Dan Tipney is up next to tell us all about Rowers Against Rubbish. Dan, the next 5 minutes is yours. Or yours.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Thanks, Steph. Nice to see everyone. I'm just going to do my screen share now. So I'll just do that. Hopefully that will pop up okay. It's just going to go to full screen. Does that come up okay? Excellent. Okay, here to talk about Rowers Against Rubbish. It's very nice to see you all, as I said. Very nice to be here. And I think I've met most of you before, but yeah, really glad I got the chance to share this with you for those that don't know much about it already. So my story around this originates from my history within rowing, sport rowing. It was a really big part of my life. I've been a member of Marlow Rowing Club for 23 years and started when I was very young. And it was, yeah, so as a sport, as a passion, and as a local, as something that I was involved in locally, it's just very special to me. I got the opportunity to connect this passion, this energy for the sport with the environment when a good friend of mine who's involved within the sustainability profession met someone who was interested in starting to run events. And it's not something I'd thought of before, but it was a journey that I was on. I was moving towards really starting to connect more with environmental issues. And we got the chance to do that. And so a few meetings later and a few ideas, we came up with the name, we came up with the website. And really it started off just as a platform. We wanted it to be a movement because we realized that actually as a sports community, rowers in particular, being water-based, being outdoor-based, were on the whole very passionate about the waterways that they used. And we felt there was an opportunity to harness that energy, to harness that passion, and to put it into something beyond getting boats to go backwards as fast as you can. As much as we all of us love that very much indeed, we kind of felt that there was also more that we could be using that energy for. So it was a platform because we knew a lot of clubs already cared about this, a lot of individuals cared about it, but it was happening in a very isolated, sort of fragmented way. So we wanted to create that way of uniting what everyone was doing together. So as I said, it started off with social media platform on Twitter, a website, and really just to get people talking about it. And from there, we kind of developed some other ideas. So we did the screening at Marlow Rowing Club for Plastic Ocean. In fact, it was just over a year ago now. Can't believe that was a year ago already. Which was really great. We got we got the bar filled, get some great energy in the room. Everyone clearly very interested in what we can be doing as a community, and it's built from there in terms of what we'd like to achieve. So I think that the limitation with a lot of these movements, these initiatives, is the fact that they're on voluntary basis and everyone's limited on time. Particularly the last few months have been a real challenge with everyone. So it is hard sometimes keeping the energy up, but certainly what we want to do, and what we're in discussion about doing at the moment, is creating an opportunity for rowing clubs across the country to harness the competitive elements of the rowing into environmental issues. So we've got a tier system that can enable clubs to effectively get awards, and they're quite soft awards because of course we can't. It's not an easy way of policing it, but we have to go on trust, and we have a tier system that basically says that, for example, for a bronze, it's something quite simple, like only using reusable bottles within their clubs, minimizing use of single-use plastics, and actually just being active on social media. The silver pledge, for example, would just take it a bit further and ask them to have a nominated environmental officer, have more sort of strict recycling standards, and actually host their own events. A bit like we did at Marlow last year. And for a gold, it's really looking beyond the plastic waste itself and into carbon emissions, and looking at how that can be measured, particularly with transport to events, to really take this idea of waste beyond just what goes in the bins. And that they would also host annual events themselves and become a hub within their communities. So it started in Marlow. It's something that we're trying to take further. What have we achieved so far? As I said, we gained a lot of interest and a lot of conversation on social media. We had the screening at Marlow, as I said, last year. We have had quite a few articles in the local press. Sarah Wild, one of the people in our team, has been great at helping with getting those press releases out. We got something else in Rowing and Regatta magazine. We were nominated for the World Rowing Sustainability Award last year, and one of our team also spoke at the FISA, which is the national international governing body, at their annual coaching conference. So the word's getting out there, but we want to keep building on that. As I said, building on these tiers and really getting clubs behind that idea, that competitive element within their role within sustainability is our next big aim. And we want Marlow Rowing Club to be a big part of that, as Marlow Rowing Club has been a big part of a lot of these movements already. But we want to keep growing that. And that's about it in terms of what we're doing. I think the other thing I would say is that why plastic, I suppose, why did that become the area of choice? Why plastic waste? And I think for me it was because at the time it was quite early on in my journey, and I think it's a good way in, is the way I would describe it. I think when it comes to things like our diets, plant-based diets, when it comes to even other things like how we travel, whether or not we fly on holiday, they're actually quite emotive issues, and they're quite hard for people to get there without it triggering an emotional reaction and actually pushing people further back if they're being pushed too hard on these things. Whereas something like plastic waste is something that most people could connect with, and it's a way in. And actually through engaging with plastic waste in the way that I have through being involved with Rowers Against Rubbish, it's opened my mind to the environmental issues significantly. And without going into too much detail, it's meant that I've gone from not thinking very much about what I'm doing. So, for example, my professional role, I've always flown airplanes. It's what I do. But it's led me to a path where I will no longer be flying airplanes very much at all in the future. And I will be part of a group which is actually moving towards degrowth within the aviation industry. Now, I would never have made that step 3 or 4 years ago, but because of the way in which I've got there through plastic waste, it's helped me to get through those cognitive biases and those barriers. And that's one of the things that I think we can achieve as well through something like plastic waste, because it's just a little bit less emotive. So that's me. There's a bit of information on the page. That's just a snapshot of the website that we've got. 2 different email addresses, one for Rowers Against Rubbish and one for myself directly if anyone wants to get in touch. Otherwise, I think that's my time.